Hey guys, welcome back to another video. This is Troy with Cichlid Bros. In today's video, I'm picking up an awesome, expensive new inhabitant for my saltwater reef tank. It's absolutely beautiful and I've had it in my tank for about 12 days now. And I'll also be able to get some awesome footage of a 600-gallon reef tank. It is a friend of the channel who also has this new inhabitant waiting for me. So without further ado, let's dive right in. Okay guys, so I'm on the road. I'm going to pick up this awesome new anemone for my tank. And I'm actually going to see a friend of the channel, MBL Aquatics. Mike actually let us tour his 600-gallon cichlid tank about 2 years ago, but he's recently switched that over to a reef tank that also looks incredible. So I'll give some footage of that hopefully. And he also has a big Chicago Sunburst Anemone himself, so I'll show that as well. And then I'm gonna pick up the anemone. And Mike had a friend in the hobby that had anemones for sale, so they kind of hooked me up with a pretty good deal, especially for the size and quality of the anemone that I'm gonna be getting. But the next thing we'll see is his awesome 600-gallon reef tank. So this is Mike's 600-gallon reef tank, and like I said before, he just recently converted it from a cichlid tank over to a reef only about 8 or 9 months ago. And for that amount of time, this is insane coral growth, and he already has started to add in some of the SPS and acros, and it just looks incredible. The fish in here, super healthy and vibrant. You have some of those awesome tangs with the powder blue, the Achilles, and the unicorn, and then even the yellow tang, a few different wrasse species, the snapper, and he also has clownfish in here with an awesome anemone himself, so we'll check that out in a second. But he was just speeding the tank here so I could get some good footage, and we will definitely come back and do a full video tour of this tank once it's kind of grown in. And once he fully sets everything up, he also has a canopy for this tank that's currently under construction, so the tank is looking awesome from what I'm showing here, but it's going to look even better in a few months, and hopefully we'll get a really cool video out of that. So really appreciate Mike letting us check out this tank. As you can see here, he is a huge Chicago Sunburst Anemone, and this is what I'm hoping to get, something that's going to grow into this size. And you can see it's already split off into multiple different anemones, and that the clownfish is being hosted within it and just kind of taking cover and refuge in it. So that's really the goal of my saltwater tank, is to have something like this, something that's going to grow and just be extremely colorful and vibrant, but also they're just so interesting because they have that relationship with clownfish. And I'm almost just as excited to get this anemone as I was to get fish in this tank. So it's going to be a really cool experience. I've never kept anemones before, so I really picked Mike's brain. And he also hooked me up with a good deal on this. It's normally a very expensive anemone. Usually they're going about $500 to $600, especially one of this size. But they gave me a pretty good deal. It came from his buddy Windy City Reef on Instagram, so definitely go check him out. He has a really cool reef tank as well. But once I did get this anemone, it was ready to hit the road and get this guy in my tank after just a quick acclimation. So when I first added this to the tank, it kind of fell over, but slowly but surely it started moving around. It found its way to a weird crevice in the back there, and I was hoping it would move again because I would actually want to see it and not have it point out towards the back of the tank. And you can see it's also pretty shrunk up there, you know, still getting used to its new environment. And then a day later, it was really interesting to walk down into my basement and wonder where it was, and it was all the way up on the rocks on the top right, and it wasn't fully extended yet with the lights just coming on, but it was already looking like it was starting to settle in. And it obviously has that awesome bright orangish yellow coloration that I couldn't wait for. And once the lights fully came on, you could see it standing out even more with the two clowns and the anemone here. Absolutely beautiful. And I also know I'm saying anemone quite a lot in this video.
Okay, don't hurt yourself.
But anyway, this is about 2 days after being in the tank. You know, really good color again, looks great. And the clownfish are ignoring it completely, hoping that they eventually notice it or their instincts kick in and they eventually start going within the anemone. But day 3, you could see it's starting to extend a little bit, and it's moved up a little bit higher on the rocks. Still not fully extended though. And then on day 5, you can see it's starting to settle in, extend a little bit more. But after about 7 days of being in the tank and kind of settling in, finding its spot, it really started to extend and color up and just look great. So this is what it looks like today. It looks great. It's eating really well. And I do need to turn on the wave maker again. I forgot to mention that when I first put this into the tank, I turned off the wave maker just because I was a little nervous about it moving, and definitely don't want to be chopped up within the wave makers. But I definitely think I just need a little more flow. Just got to be a little strategic about how I do that here. But yeah, the clownfish still have not gone within the anemone at all, completely ignoring it, but it still looks awesome nonetheless with the clowns and the new anemone. And here's the tank today, about 2 weeks after I originally picked up the anemone. It is doing extremely well in here, very colorful. It's just a really fascinating thing to watch. It's moving around the tank, it's eating food, and it's super colorful. And as mentioned, I did turn off the wave maker just temporarily, just because I didn't know where that anemone was going to move around or how big it was going to be when it opened up. And I probably will move the wave maker to the back panel of the glass and maybe give indirect flow to the anemone, because I do think it needs a little bit more flow in the tank. I also might be getting a NIM guard for that wave maker, just because I don't want that anemone getting into it by any means at all. So that should be coming soon. I also increased the lighting just a little bit. Since the tank was just starting up the last couple months, I didn't have the lights on full blast. There really is no need to do that. It would just grow algae. And besides just a little bit of brown algae on the sand, which the hermit crabs and snails have done great picking off and making sure it's super clean, there really hasn't been any other algae in here. So I turned the lights up just a bit. Hopefully that will make the anemone even more comfortable, and things will continue to be very smooth in this aquarium. And one of the many very cool things about anemones is that they do split off and multiply. So hopefully in a few months or just down the line, this anemone will multiply and I'll have different Chicago sunbursts throughout the tank, and it'll just continue to grow into a huge anemone based tank. And one thing I hope happens pretty soon is that the clownfish actually go into the anemone. Right now they are ignoring it and acting like it's not there. And from what I've heard from friends and research is that captive bred clownfish can sometimes be pretty dumb, or at least they don't have the natural instinct to go right into it, at least right away. So hopefully give these guys a few months and we'll see them start interacting a little bit more. As soon as I see one of them, touch the anemone, I'm going to freak out, I'm sure. But it'll be really cool to see that symbiotic relationship start up in this tank. And like I said, have just a lot of different anemones throughout the tank, hopefully looking just as good as this one Chicago sunburst is. And thanks again for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed seeing the update on the tank and also the footage of the 600-gallon reef tank. Thanks again to Mike and Windy City Reefs on Instagram for providing this awesome anemone for a really good deal. Can't wait to see this guy grow. Thanks again, guys. See you next time.